Well, Colorado is going bowling this year, and for the first time since like the start of COVID. And really, if you want to know like CU's history in bowls, it isn't something that we really want to talk about for like the last 20 years because we have gone to bowls, we have won almost none of them, and this will be pretty much for the first time in 20 years will be the best opportunity for us to go to a bowl game and actually win a bowl game. Now, we've talked about in the past in past videos that the Big 12 championship is not out of question, right? We know the Big 12 championship is going to be something that we can play for. We went out. If Iowa State loses, we go to the Big 12 championship. We can play potentially BYU for the championship and then maybe even go to the playoff, right? So that's a given. We know this. We're talking about it. And I'm going to mention this several times because we just started this live stream. But I wanted to make sure that let's be pragmatic here, okay, and say that we either are going to go to the Big 12 championship and we're going to lose that game, okay? Let's just say that because this is argument's sake. Or we're going to win the rest of our games. Iowa State is going to win the rest of their games. They're going to play BYU in the championship, and we're going to really be like the second. I don't know how do you say that. The third option in the Big 12, meaning that the winner of that game will be the first option. They'll go to the playoff. The first out of playoff option would be the loser of that game. And then the third would be CU, right? So that's kind of the premise that we're playing on here. So for those of you who are in the chat right now, throw up. It looks like Dylan Hall is the first one in here. I think Iowa State has been puttering. I agree too. There are a lot of, and Coach Prime has been very candid about this in one of his press conferences where he said he wants to take Miss Peggy to a really nice bowl game, like a top tier bowl game, right? And we're going to go through those and which bowl games are we really eligible for, and which bowl games will we probably go to if it were to end the way that we say it's going to end. And then what would be the lower tier bowls? And then at the end of this, we're going to talk about all of the major publications and where at this point they believe Colorado is going to play, which bowl, and also who are they going to play. So there's a lot of tiers to this today. But first, we're going to start off with what bowls are we eligible for, right? Because we're not eligible for every bowl. Bowls have there's a lot of contractual agreements with bowls. A lot of bowls are specific to two different conferences. So for instance, SEC Big 12, right? So they'll take the first best team out of the Big 12 and the first best team that isn't playing in the college football playoff out of the SEC. And that's who they're going to offer. And that's kind of how this works, right? And then you have some bowls that are going to take the second or third team in each one of the two different conferences. I think the ACC and the Big 12 have some contractual agreements in there. The AAC and the Big 12 have some contractual agreements in there in different bowls. And it gets really confusing. And some of the bowls only have contractual agreements with one conference, and then the other conference will just be whoever they choose. So it's really super confusing. So we're going to go through that just a little bit. I'm not, I would say, a bowl expert, but obviously I've watched a lot of bowl games and I've done a lot of research on bowls. And I went ahead and did a little bit more now just to make sure that the contracts haven't changed in the past few years. And it turned out that a few of them had. In fact, one of them just changed this year for 2024 with two different conferences. And then next year they change back to the two conferences that they normally play in. So holy mackerel, it's like crazy up in here. And with all of the different scenarios with bowls right now, you're literally flipping a coin to determine who's going to go where and who's going to play what. But we're going to look at all of that. We're going to look at every bowl that we can play in, or at least the major bowls that we can play in. And then who thinks which major sports news entities are thinking that we're going to go somewhere, right? We're going to talk about those. And this is all for week 11. So this is all for for the week that we're talking about. Obviously, next week, everything will change. It'll be all different, right? There's a lot of people playing each other, especially in the SEC and the Big 12, or sorry, the Big 10. So that whole thing is going to change a lot this next year or this next week. And it's going to look really super different. But while we are sitting here having fun, we might as well just play what if, right? All right. So let's go to the different bowls here. I'm going to pull this up on the screen for you so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But this is off of bowlseason.com. So if you wanted to kind of go and look through the different bowls, you can click on these and it'll tell you, for the most part, it's not super crisp. Like each one of them doesn't specifically tell you which conferences that they are contracted with, and some of them do. But you can go down here and you can look, like the Boca Raton Bowl right here is in Boca Raton, Florida. That's a really big surprise, by the way. I, for whatever reason, thought that one was in Texas. The LA Bowl is in Inglewood, hosted by Gronk. Yes, there's a couple of those. There's a really cool one that I'm going to talk about here in just a second. But then you go down here and you have, let's first get out of the way, what bowl games are CSP first round bowl games? So these are all going to be on the 20th to the 21st. So right before Christmas, we're going to play that first round bowl games, right? And then you go down here, and the second round bowl games are all of the major bowl games that are normally New Year's Day bowl games. So you have the Fiesta Bowl is a semifinal. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is a semifinal. The Rose Bowl is a semifinal. The All-State Sugar Bowl is a semifinal, or a quarterfinal. Sorry, these are all quarterfinals. So those are all out if we don't make the college football playoff, right? And remember, this scenario is we are not going to make the college football playoff. We are going to win out, and so is Iowa State. So we're going to have to find a good bowl. Now, this is one of them that I really like. This Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. So Gin and Juice, they set up a pop-up at one of the CU games a few weeks back, and that was really cool. So they have their own bowl game there. And I want to say that, if you were to look at this, that we're not eligible for that bowl game. At least I don't think we are. So, but we are eligible for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We are eligible for the Valero Alamo Bowl. We are eligible for the Independence Bowl. So there are quite a few of them. We're going to go through those one at a time. So the first one is like my favorite of all of these, which is the Alamo Bowl. So let's go to the Alamo Bowl here. And when it pops up here, if we're going to play in any bowl game outside of being in the college football playoff, I would want to play in the Alamo Bowl. And actually, you know what? This is tied. So tied with the Alamo Bowl, and there's another bowl that I'd really want to play in as well. But this one is the Big 12 and the Pac-12. And the Big 12 and the Pac-12 will play each other in this one. It's usually like the second pick in the Big 12 and the second pick in the Pac-12. And remember that in all of these Pac-12 scenarios, when I say Pac-12, something that you may not know is that when you see Pac-12 in these bowl games, they mean the new Pac-12, which are two schools, and the old Pac-12, last year's Pac-12. So it includes a lot of the Big 12 schools this year that were Pac-12 schools last year. And then that group plays the Big 12, which again is, the Big 12, so we're actually CU's part of both of those groups, right? Arizona's part of both of those groups. So there's a lot of, weirdness in this bowl from that standpoint. But I think that we stand a really good chance. This is a very high grade bowl, right? Peggy's going to love this bowl. It is in San Antonio, Texas. And for those of you who have not been in San Antonio, Texas, it's a great place. I love San Antonio. The Riverwalk's cool, tons of restaurants. There's lots of things to do there. And you're really only about an hour and a half away from the beach, maybe 2 hours away from the beach. So you could go down, you could get your feet wet if you wanted to. But really, this bowl to me, if we end up playing the Alamo Bowl, I will likely be there. I would love to go to the Alamo Bowl. And that one is Saturday, December the 28th at 5:30 p.m. So it's a really good time slot too. On a Saturday at 5:30. This is all the times that I'm going to give you in this video are going to be mountain time. Okay. Because I only live in mountain time. So you're going to have to extrapolate that out to wherever you live. Right. Now, who do I see playing in this? Right. We could be playing, if we play in this bowl game, we could be playing Washington State University, for instance. Washington State is ranked one behind us. I think that that could be a potential there. A very popular pick right now is actually CU and Iowa State, oddly enough. So we don't play in the regular season. We probably won't play in the Big 12 championship, right? But we could play in the Alamo Bowl. Another one could be CU versus BYU if Iowa State and BYU go to the championship and Iowa State wins. Then we could play BYU in the Alamo Bowl potentially, right? So there's three scenarios: Washington State, Iowa State, BYU. I think the favorite in that for almost all the prognosticators at this point is CU versus Iowa State in that bowl game. So that right there is the Alamo Bowl. Now let's trip over here to let me add this back in here, and I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. We're going to go to the next one, which is the Texas Bowl. The Texas Bowl would be the next one, and let me pull that up real quick. Texas Bowl. Actually, you know what? There's three bowls. There's three bowls that I would love to go to. All right. So this one now is the Texas Bowl. All right. So the Texas Bowl, also a very big bowl. Okay. Going to the Texas Bowl would be really good for us. And that one pits, as you can see there, it's the Big 12 versus the SEC. Now, this one would be a great game, no matter how it shakes out. If we were going to go to the Texas Bowl, we would play an SEC team. This is in Houston, Texas, so it's a warm weather game. Again, you're real near the ocean. Houston's a cool place. I lived in Houston for 2 years. I'm not going to say Houston's like the best city I've ever lived in, but the cool thing about it is there's never a lack of anything to do in the restaurants there. I think it's like ranked like in the top 3 cities in the country in restaurants, like the amount of restaurants there. It's just ridiculous how many restaurants are there. But in any case, this one is December 31st at 1:30 in the afternoon. So also another, it's New Year's Eve. A lot of people have New Year's Eve off. 1:30 in the afternoon, Mountain Time. So a good time slot for us. And I think it would draw a lot of attention. Now, if we are going to play in the Texas Bowl right now, I would pit CU against Texas A&M. I think that would be a fantastic game. I don't know that Texas A&M is going to end up as an at-large, although they could. But if they do end up as an at-large, let's say, then I think it would be CU versus LSU, which would also be a great game. Could you imagine that game? Now, this is a big stretch, guys. Okay, this is a really, really big stretch, but it is 100% possible that we go to the Texas Bowl and play LSU, right? So that's the Texas Bowl. The Texas Bowl to me is, I don't know, I want to say a sexy bowl. It's sexy, right? I think it's really super sexy. And the next one on my list is, it's sexy, but you know what? I'm going to skip. I'm going to skip down to another one that I would love to go to. Let me find my screen share here real quick. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. Guess this bowl. It is the Las Vegas Bowl, right? I'm going to start checking these off so I don't go back over these. But the Las Vegas Bowl, we are eligible for the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. What is SRS Distribution? I don't know. They have a lot of money if they're going to be covering the Las Vegas Bowl, though. So, but this one is on 12/27, so a couple days after Christmas, at 8:30 in the evening, and that is Mountain Time. So that is a sucky time slot as far as I'm concerned. But if you were to want to go see your Colorado Buffaloes at a bowl game, and you could go to Las Vegas after Christmas and go see a bowl game, that would be pretty freaking epic, right? You could stay at Dang, what is that? What is that sports book that I went to that I absolutely fell in love with? Circa. You could stay at Circa, and then you could go to the Las Vegas Bowl game. It would be an epic trip, quite honestly. And this one pits SEC versus Big 12 as well, very similar to the Texas Bowl. And so I see CU playing in this one. If they're playing in this one, they're playing Ole Miss. So Lane Kiffin, man, would I absolutely love to play Lane Kiffin in Las Vegas. And if that happens and we end up getting this bid and we end up going against Ole Miss in this game, I'm going to specifically ask for a an interview with Lane Kiffin. And I'm going to wear my Lane Kiffin hat and do my Lane Kiffin thing. And I think it would be fun. But in any case, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it was a video last year. Anyway, CU versus Ole Miss. I think that would be a fun game. Go to Las Vegas, stay at Circa, have a good time. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be a very, very, very cool game. All right. Now, the next one, my next favorite, and we're starting to get into bowls that I really, they're okay, right? I think these are going to be okay. Let me see if I have this one queued up. Hang on one second. Let's see. I already got here we go. All right. So what is the next bowl that I'm going to talk about? Anybody want to guess? It is the Independence Bowl. The Independence Bowl. Now this one is a strange one. It pits the Pac-12, okay, against the AAC. That's predominantly what it is. So the Pac-12 and the AAC, the Atlantic Athletic Conference. Now, when I say Pac-12, we're Big 12, Chris. So we know we're Big 12. Why would we go to Pac-12? Because this is Pac-12 old and new. So they're the new ones, which are the two schools, and then which is Oregon State and Washington State. And then all of the old Pac-12 schools are also eligible for this. So CU is eligible, Arizona is eligible, so forth and so on down the line. So we are eligible for this bowl. It is considered, the Independence Bowl is considered a major bowl, right? It's in Shreveport, Louisiana. Lived in Louisiana for 6 months. So, and it wasn't in Shreveport, but it was close. And so, it's gonna likely be warm down there this time of year, and it's a great bowl. But who would we play from the AAC in that bowl? So I'm going to throw you a couple of scenarios. Okay. CU versus Army. Now, Army might play in the military bowls as well, but I would really love to see CU play Army. Now, I say that I think Army, of all of these teams that I'm talking about, Army is as tough to beat as anybody because obviously being a service school, triple option threat, that kind of stuff, this school is really good. I would hate to go to an Independence Bowl and play Army. That would be a very tough game. But let's say Army went to one of the other military bowls, okay, which is very possible because they're, as far as the military schools, is going to be the highest ranked at this point. Navy would be another good one, but Army is probably going to be picked. Then we would play probably Tulane. CU versus Tulane. Would you? You would. I know that you would like tune in for CU versus Tulane, but not the most exciting game that I've come up with so far, right? So it's kind of crazy, I know. But when you start looking, what I did was I took the rankings in each conference, and I looked at who is going to possibly get an at-large bid, who's going to win, and go into a title, one of the buys, right? And then I was going to pick either the first or the second school on that list after that to go to some of these major bowls. So that's where I came up with Tulane. Tulane is behind Army in the AAC, the Atlantic Athletic Conference, right? So that's the Independence Bowl right there. So I'm going to get that off the screen, and we're going to go to our next bowl. But before we do that, I'm going to take a break for just a second and get to some of you guys here. And then we're going to go through 3 more bowls, and then we're going to go through the predictions that the prognosticators from the major papers and sites have come up with so we can kind of get an idea where they think we're going to go. And a lot of them chose the same bowl. Oddly enough, it's really weird. So we'll go through that here in a second. Sharon says, thank you for sharing your expertise with us. You're welcome. Hey, Alpine, finally real weather here. Yes. KR is obviously from Colorado, and we finally got some snow. I've got about a foot and a half on my back deck right now, and it's still snowing. So that's supposed to be another. I think it's like 3 to 5 or 3 to 8 where I'm at. I'm a little higher. I'm about 7,200 feet right here. Boulder Central is going to be about 5,600 feet. So that'll kind of give you an idea. But the higher you go, the more snow falls because, anyway, we're not going to go through weather. But yes, I'm happy about the snow. KR says, if it's CU versus LSU, I got issues. Grew up here and LSU grad. Yes, it is. LSU would be a tough game for us. I think it would be a fun game to watch, though. I also think it would get great ratings. KR says, be great to smash Ole Miss. I would love to smash Ole Miss. I think of all of the schools that I've already brought up, there is an opportunity that CU would play Nebraska again too. There's a bowl out there, but CU would have to drop way down. Like Nebraska's pretty far down in the Big Ten right now. We'd have to drop way down or choose to go into a lower bowl. So, but it would be cool to play Nebraska again. But I think of all of these teams, I would love to play Ole Miss more than anybody. Let's see who else is here. Still in Shreveport, right? Good fast food, but at least not the best. KR says ice storms. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff out there. So let's look at the next bowl. And the next bowl that we could potentially go to is going to be, let me see what I checked off here. Oh, yeah, the one that everybody was talking about last year. Which one is that? I don't even think I had this one pulled up, guys. Let me see real quick. I bet you I don't. So let me slide over here. I'm going to pop it real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Where is this thing? Where is it? There it is. Got it. Okay. I'm going to come back over here and let's pull up this bowl. I don't see it on here. Okay, anyway, it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So the Pop-Tarts Bowl would be the next one. And the Pop-Tarts Bowl is really kind of an interesting bowl. So last year, you guys saw all the funny antics that went on there, and they put on a pretty good show. They're the ACC versus Big 12. So you have the ACC, which I think would be a very competitive game. So this is on December 28th as well. So we're a little bit before the holiday there. But in this case, I would pit CU versus SMU. Why I like this game, CU versus SMU in this game. SMU has had a really kind of a storybook year this year, and their team has been building, right? But also Coach Prime has connections with SMU. Obviously, Bucky played for SMU, and there's a whole lot of history there. Plus, we're right inside Prime's home territory there. So I think that this would be, plus the Pop-Tarts Bowl gets a lot of views. So when you're talking about a good bowl for Colorado to get seen at, that would be a good one to play at SMU. I think that would be a good. I wouldn't choose this matchup over most of the other matchups, but I do like this game for that reason. So that is the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and CU could potentially be playing there, right? So then the last one that I wanted to bring up before we go to the prognosticators and how they chose it is the Holiday Bowl, which is December 27th at 6 p.m. That is a pretty late time slot, so it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. And the Holiday Bowl is still a major bowl. There's nothing wrong with the Holiday Bowl. That is Pac-12 versus ACC. And remember that Pac-12 is the old Pac-12 and the new Pac-12. So we won't go through that again. But that would pit probably the way that I would run this one is CU versus Clemson in that game. So CU versus Clemson in that game. And I think that would be a good game also. That would draw a lot of eyeballs to it. And although there are a lot of bowl games on December 27th, I say there's a lot. I think there's two. There would be any competition whatsoever. So I think CU versus Clemson in that game. That would be a really good game, and really kind of a scary game because Clemson is one of those teams that are flip flopping a lot, but they're still good enough to be able to take out. We're playing SEC at this, or we're playing ACC at this point, but we're playing a really good ACC team if we play Clemson in the Holiday Bowl. Now, let's go to the prognosticators and what they said. Okay. Now I'm going to run through these fairly quick. Okay. The College Football Network has us playing in the Alamo Bowl, right? Alamo Bowl. I want the Alamo Bowl. And they want us playing versus LSU. So it'd be CU, LSU in the Alamo Bowl. And that is College Football Network. The second one, Sporting News, has us in the Las Vegas Bowl playing Wisconsin. Now, here's the weird part about this: is Wisconsin is a pack or is a Big Ten school, and the Las Vegas Bowl is SEC and Big 12. So I have no idea what they're doing there on that pick. Maybe they know something I don't know, but if we play Wisconsin, I think that'd be great. I'd love to play a Big Ten school. It may be the only opportunity we get to play a Big Ten school. So anyway, that's Sporting News. Now, Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated has us going to the Holiday Bowl. Okay, are you ready for this? Going to the Holiday Bowl versus Duke, right? I don't know, guys. I mean, Duke is 6-3. I mean, their record is very similar to ours, but man, what a snoozer. Is that just me? Am I the only one that thinks that would be a snooze fest if we played Duke in the Holiday Bowl? But that's what SI is picking right now. Okay, that'll change next week, but that's what SI is picking. Then let's go to 247 Sports. Okay, so 247 Sports. All right, now if you've heard this before, let me know. But they're choosing the Holiday Bowl for CU versus Duke. So that's two in a row. SI and 247 both choose Holiday Bowl versus Duke. Is 247 owned by Sports Illustrated? I don't know. I don't know these things, guys. But dang, they sure do like to pick very similarly, right? Athlon Sports, our friends at Athlon. I think I've picked on Athlon more than probably anybody has. But they get a lot of views and they have a lot of people subscribe to their page. So I thought we'll take a look at that. They have us going to the Las Vegas Bowl versus Vanderbilt. So that would be an interesting game. Vandy is a hot school right now. And although normally I would think that would be a little bit of a snooze fest, that actually would probably be a pretty good game. It's not the game that I would pick, but it would be a pretty good game. Now let's go to CBS. Now, if you guys have any comments when we're talking about this with these different, bowl picks that these national prognosticators are coming up with, let me know. Throw them down in the comments. But CBS is saying that CU is going to the Holiday Bowl versus Louisville. So I actually like that game. I would love to play Louisville. Not my number one on this list. I think Holiday Bowl, I don't know. It's okay. It's a major bowl, right? But it's not sexy. It's not a Peggy Bowl as far as I'm concerned. A Peggy Bowl is an Alamo Bowl, or it's a Texas Bowl, or it's a Pop-Tarts Bowl, or it's a Las Vegas Bowl. That's a Peggy Bowl right there. But CBS has us going to the Holiday Bowl versus Louisville. KSL Sports has us going to the Holiday Bowl versus Pitt. This is an odd one. I don't, for the life of me, understand that. Somebody throw down in the comments, why would somebody pit us versus Pitt in a bowl game at this juncture, right? I don't know. I mean, I like Pitt. Again, another snooze fest for me. Bleacher Report has us going to the Las Vegas Bowl versus Ole Miss. So I had actually chosen that Las Vegas Bowl versus Ole Miss. I promise you this. I promise you. I chose that before I ever looked at the prognosticators. But the Bleacher Report has my pick, or I have Bleacher Report's pick. The Las Vegas Bowl versus Ole Miss. Now, I will tell you this. If we go to the Las Vegas Bowl and we play Ole Miss, I will be there. I'm going to put that down there. Buy tickets. I just got back from Vegas. a few weeks ago, and we had a fantastic time. I would stay at, um, dang, why can't I remember that? I went to every sports book there when I was there I think I was there about a month ago. And Circa by far has the best sports book. Like I could live at Circa. If they had rooms where you could just live there and like buy a room and just live there for the rest of your life, I would do that. But I would stay there and then I would go to this bowl against Ole Miss and I would wear my Lane Kiffin hat and I would do yoga out in the middle of the field and all kinds of stuff just to kind of get a rise out of him. But yeah, that to me, the Bleacher Report Las Vegas Bowl with Colorado versus Ole Miss, I think that is stacking up to be one of my favorites right there. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was the Rate Bowl. Now, this is actually goes back to the bowls. Okay, so no one is picking us to go to the Rate Bowl. Okay, the Rate Bowl pits Big 12 versus Big 10. This is one of the lower ranking bowls, right? So Nebraska is been picked quite a few times to go to the Rate Bowl, right? CU is not picked in that because CU is a much higher ranked team in the Big 12. But what if we were to decide to go to this bowl, or, for God's sakes, I'm going to go ahead and say it, but what if we lose a few more games or lose one or two more games, right? Which we won't do. It's not going to happen. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that we do. We're still going to a bowl game. The Rate Bowl against Nebraska would be a really good bowl to play. Like, I would love to play Nebraska again, have that opportunity to kind of steal that back. Nebraska's a little bit on their heels now. They're a different team than they were when we played them. We're a different team than we were when we played them. I think we would beat Nebraska on a neutral field, and the Rate Bowl may give us the opportunity to do that. Now, that said, a lot of you came in here late, so go back and watch this video. But I just basically barfed out a whole lot of information that's only going to be good for about 2 more days. And then after that, this whole thing is going to change again. But the way that we're going to do this is next Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Go ahead and put it on your calendars. We're going to do this again, but we're going to do it based off of all of the wins and losses in this coming weekend, including ours, okay, including our game. And we're going to kind of bid these bowls and kind of figure out where we're going to be. And then also we're going to go through the prognosticators as well and see how they changed versus this week. So this will be an interesting video. Like this to me, looking at all of this right here, I say my favorite picks are probably the Alamo Bowl against Iowa State, the Texas Bowl against Texas A&M, the Independence Bowl against Army, the Pop-Tarts Bowl against SMU, and I think my favorite out of all of these, no, my favorite is the Alamo Bowl. My second favorite is the Texas Bowl. My third favorite is the Las Vegas Bowl playing Ole Miss. There you go. That's it. So let's go through some of your comments again while we're in here, and we'll see what you guys have to say before we get out of here. Let's see. We ended on. There we go. KR is saying SMU is coming up. Got serious NIL money and a program history. I agree. And SMU, like I said, big time Coach Prime bond. So I think, and the fact that it's played locally to Coach Prime in his first home, second home, whatever it is. Anyway, so I think that would be a good bowl for him personally. I think a lot of our Texas players probably like that too, right? James Bond says, "What's up, fam?" KR, Holiday Bowl was where CU started this late 80s run. That's right. Holiday Bowl is a tried and true for us. San Diego is a great city, KR says. Paramount owns 247, just for your info. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Never a snooze fest when putting up TDs against sacks and interceptions. That could be true. Yeah. So there's one thing we have not talked about, and I'm going to talk about it now, and I'm going to talk about it on Monday too. But since you guys are here, and we've got some people here in the chat, this whole scenario that I just laid out for you was based off of we either go to the Big 12 championship and we lose, or we win out all of our games, but so does Iowa State, and Iowa State plays BYU. So we're left out of the Big 12 championship, but we still have won all of our games. That's where all of this bowl prediction came from for me. Okay. I still think we have a great chance to go to the Big 12 championship. I think K State is going to give Iowa State everything they can handle. And then we play BYU, and although BYU is the anomaly of all anomalies for me, so I have to go digging into them a little bit more. But they're a giant question mark. Like every other team, I can kind of give you an idea about where I think we fit in. But BYU is like I don't even know. But we beat BYU obviously in the Big 12 championship, and we go to the playoff. And then none of this matters, right? Because we're going to be in the playoff mode. But I wanted to talk about the fact that we may not go to the Big 12 championship and we may win all of our games. So in that case, what are we looking at here? But here's the key part. I'm going to throw this up before I go through the rest of your comments. And I want to hear your feedback on this. We don't go to the Big 12 championship. Oh, no, let's say we do go to the Big 12 championship. Okay. I think that all of our players are going to play. Obviously, they're all going to play because we have an opportunity to go to the playoffs, right? Now we don't go to the Big 12 championship and we just go to one of these major bowls. We went out the rest of the season and we go to the Alamo Bowl, or we go to the Pop Tarts Bowl, or the Las Vegas Bowl, or we play one of these major teams like SMU or Ole Miss or A&M, right? Texas A&M. What are the chances that any of our seniors or any of our players, I should say, any of our players going into the draft, potentially going to the draft, what are the chances they play in that game? Right? I mean, we've seen more and more and more even since COVID, really, especially since COVID, of players opting out of bowl games, especially when they're going to potentially be in the NFL draft. And I have a little bit like my brain starts to freeze at this, because if you were to talk about any other school, I would say that the opportunity that anyone that is going to potentially be a draft pick is going to be opting out of the game, right? But at Colorado with Coach Prime and the fact that all of the major players that we're talking about that are going to be going into the NFL draft are directly connected to Coach Prime, would they play in a major bowl for their coach, knowing that it's their dad, right? In some cases, it's their mentor in other cases, right? Kind of like their dad, right? In Travis's case. Would Coach Prime say, guys, I appreciate your loyalty and the fact that you want to do this for me, but you guys have an entire NFL career to worry about. Don't blow your knee out in a bowl game. Okay. He may actually say, hey, appreciate it, guys. I need you to do what you do best for you. Right. So this whole bowl game scenario right here looks way different when you have, our second string, whoever it may be that you want to choose to go into second string quarterback. And, a couple of our receivers are gone, and some of our defense is gone, and some of our offensive line is gone. It looks a little bit different from that standpoint. Throw down in the comments what you think of that, and I'm going to get to those here in a second. Shirley says, hello. Kara says, Ole Miss or LSU have sexy plus chance to flip dudes. They do. Yes. If CU plays an SEC team and beats them, that would shut so many people up. Cam, you are out so absolutely right. If we could beat Ole Miss, or we could beat Texas A&M, or we could beat LSU, which I think are probably the three teams from the SEC that we have an opportunity of playing in a bowl game. If we don't end up going to the Big 12 championship, that would, I'd almost be afraid. I would almost be afraid if we beat one of those SEC teams that people would come charging for coach even harder than they are right now, right? Not saying that he would leave, but holy crap, if he beat an SEC school, a major SEC school in a bowl, okay, probably without some of our starters, man, it would decimate. Oh man, that would be hard. That would be hard. Cam, you just gave me another video idea, man. I appreciate that. Cam says, I wouldn't mind seeing an LSU versus CU game. That would be, I agree. LSU would be an awesome game to watch. Do season ticket holders get a deal on bowl tickets? Yes, I believe we do. I need to, it's been a long time. I need to look into that a little bit more, but I don't want to say maybe a deal on tickets, but definitely have the ability to get tickets sooner than probably the general public does. James Bond says, be right back, but that was a while ago, so he's probably back already. Is that Darrell Sports Legacies or Daryl Sports Legacies? Says CU goes 10-2. They will be ranked sky high and will get the best possible bowl offer. I agree. What would be the best possible bowl offer? That's kind of what we're getting at here is, would the Alamo Bowl be the best offer? Would the Texas Bowl be the best offer? Would the Independence Bowl be the best offer? I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. There's money tied to all this, obviously, and I think CU would look at that, but really the networks would be really where it's at. The networks are going to play the biggest role in this. Utah might knock off BYU Saturday. That's a serious rivalry game, and records don't matter. The Holy War. KR, you are right. I mean, I keep saying KSU could be ISU because I think that's probably the hardest game that they have coming up. But at the same time, Utah is never to be dismissed. Whittingham, just an awesome coach. Utah is just somebody that Utah's another one of those schools where I think that if we were to play Utah in any scenario in any year, that they would be a very hard team to beat. Like I would say we would lose 50% of those games. That's how I feel about Utah. It's a different Utah right now, though. So anyway, Holy War, you're right. 0 chances unless it's a playoff bowl, in my opinion, says KR. Daryl says CU has a lot of depth, might not matter as much unless, yeah. Well, they do have a lot of depth, but man, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, the Utah game last year was a little bit of a bummer because of that. I say a bummer. I mean, it wasn't a bummer, but it was kind of a bummer. We want to see, just like any school that goes and plays in a major bowl, we want to see how we pit up against these other teams in another conference with our starters, right? But if that team and our team are playing their second ups in some areas, okay, let's go. Alamo, as far as I know, Daryl says he thinks Alamo is our number one. Which bowl games will be included in this playoff format? So, Joe, since you're here, let me pull those up. I actually have those at my fingertips. So let me pull those up real quick. Okay, here we go. And Joe, this is just for you, buddy. All right. So when you're talking about bowls, the first round bowls are going to be the 20th and the 21st right here. Okay. So there's 4 bowl games right there on the 20th and the 21st. The 21st is a heavy day at noon, at 4, and at 8. Okay. And then when you get down into the semifinals, you've got let's see, here we go. All right. The Fiesta Bowl, you have the Peach Bowl, you have the Rose Bowl, and you have the Sugar Bowl. So those are the major bowls that are going to be the college playoff bowls for the season. Who else has got a question here? KR says Utah's owned our lunch money lately. They have, yes. First round at higher seed home. True. And then KR says not a bowl game. So this has been an interesting video, guys. I had a lot of fun putting this together. I'm hoping that all the comments, first of all, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing this again on Monday night at 6 o'clock. Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So extrapolate that to where you are. And we're going to go through how the weekend games messed everything up, right? Or made everything better. We don't really know at this point. But you're going to see a live pop up probably in the next couple of days for that. Go ahead and make sure you hit the notification bell. That way early. That way, it'll remind you when I pop up there, and we'll go through this whole thing again. And I just appreciate all of you guys for coming out and commenting. I mean, really, really awesome that so many of you have supported this channel so much, and it means a lot to me. And I appreciate you all very much. We will see you in the next video. Good luck. See you this weekend. I will be live during the game. Let's go Buffs.